Welcome to NDTR Spotlight, a show where we highlight former and current NDTRs. An NDTR, if you don't know, stands for Nutritionist Diet Technician Registered. They also go by the credential DTR, which stands for Diet Technician Registered. In order to become an NDTR, you have to graduate from an accredited program, take an exam, and participate in continual education. Welcome to NDTR Spotlight. I'm your host, Moriah, and today we have a different show for you. We have done 4 interviews in the month of October, so we're going to pause, reflect, and review some of the really awesome things that were said in these interviews. So I hope that this can just remind you of some great things they said, or if you didn't watch one of the interviews because the title wasn't relevant for you, maybe after seeing a clip from them, you'll think, oh, maybe there is some things that would benefit me by watching the video. That everyone's story is really inspiring, and I totally get, like, if the title's not interested, I'm not going to click it, but maybe this will spike your interest a little bit. So let's get started. Our first clip I thought was relevant is with Arlene. She is currently a DTR getting her master's degree in nutrition, and she has worked in food service, long-term care, and community within 5 years, so she made a lot of big switches. And it's very common for people in dietetics, dietitians, and dietitians to switch into different job categories within dietetics. So I think this is a good thing just to be aware of, and Arlene does a good job of just talking about that transition. So let's roll that clip. Was it hard making those transitions in between the different jobs from food service to clinical to community?
Not really. It was a challenge, learning all over because everywhere is different. You have to start all over again. Working in long-term care was a big challenge because I have no experience when I went there. So I had to learn everything from scratch, learn what to do, how to do it and how to interact with these patients. But eventually I got it, and I think I did a good job.
Yes, love that confidence, Arlene. So let's take and switch over, and we're going to talk to Brigitte now. And Brigitte, she is a really good interview to watch if you're thinking about DTR as a gap year, as that's what she did, and she did it very successfully. And instead of looking on Indeed or search sites for job opportunities as a DTR, she took it into her own hands and was able to be more self-employed as a DTR, and she kind of explains a little bit about that in this next clip.
Sure. So I got to meet a lot of people. Most everything I did as a DTR was as self-employed. I was an independent contractor for a fitness boutique and also a local uh, general family practice, where family practice is where I did most of my work. I did a lot of nutrition education in group settings. So I would have meetings twice per month that people could attend, and we discuss a particular topic, whether it be how to manage a pre-diabetic diagnosis, the Mediterranean diet, cooking with more fiber. So the education sessions would have about 10 people in them, and I would do a cooking demo, or I'd make a recipe ahead of time that would feature whatever I was discussing that day for everyone to try. I did a lot of individual counseling too. I'm lucky that at my full-time job, I get to meet a lot of people. So I do a lot of networking, and I hand business cards out. And I've had quite a few clients that I've counseled for weight loss. I've had 2 gentlemen that have been extremely successful to the point where they're able to go off medications and all of their labs are in normal ranges.
So awesome. As a DTR, being able to get people off of their medications, that is goals in my opinion. So now we're going to talk to Kelly, who's currently in her dietetic internship, and she did more of the traditional search, looking on search engines, and she kind of talks about a little bit of the frustration in that, but also how she landed this amazing job experience in long-term care that is preparing her to be really successful in her dietetic internship.
In dietetic technician, a lot of it came up as a diet tech, which in the everyday world translates to the people who are delivering trays in a hospital, which I had already done in undergrad. And it's like, no, I'm a little overqualified for that job now. So really kind of like sifting through all of those was hard. And then if I did find a dietetic technician job that was real, and I applied to it, some of them didn't get back to me. Some of them got back to me and said, oh, we didn't realize that was still posted. We filled that a month ago. So yeah, But then finally, I found my job with Nutritious Lifestyles. And even when I applied to that one, the two that I applied to, there was two different locations. They said, oh, both of those are filled, but we have two different locations, one in Texas and one in North Carolina. So yeah, and then after that, they had a really quick, job interview turnaround. It was like 24 hours. I had to decide where I wanted to go. And I had another job interview lined up for like Friday.
Okay, so a little bit of a cliffhanger. You're going to have to watch the whole interview to see her talk a little bit more about then going into the job and moving away from her hometown. Although I kind of just gave it away, but she did get the job and landed that interview really well. So we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about some of the key things that came up with diversity in these interviews. I didn't go through everyone, but two that really stood out to me was one was with Moriah, who currently, she was in 4 different states in three different states, a lot of different states in 3 years, and she shines light on the diversity and the difference in clientele just from regions in America, not even thinking about race, but just where you live. And she just shines light on what was more relevant for people in that area. So super interesting. Let's watch that clip.
So being in Las Vegas, a lot of people here are concerned with their fitness and how they look and how they come across. I mean, it's a very entertainment-based city. So a lot of people like working one-on-one with personal trainers or doing group exercise classes. So you definitely notice more people are more active here than I would say in Pennsylvania. You also notice a little more like Mexican culture, since we're a little bit closer to the Mexican border, as well as Hawaiian, which I was really surprised by. And I would come here and there's like, there's like hula dancing classes, there's Mexican based restaurants, there's street names Hawaiian. And I actually learned that a lot of Hawaiians moved over to the mainland. They hit LA first and it was too expensive to live there. So they just went to the next biggest city, which is Vegas.
Okay, so our next clip is with Arlene. And so dietetics as a field is not very diverse, but that does not mean there's not diverse settings out there and that you can have an opportunity when you're working in a very diverse environment that challenges you to do things like learn a new language. And Arlene talks about this in a beautiful way and her experience with diversity in a positive and exciting way. So let's watch that clip.
Well, working even in long-term care, for instance, there's a lot of different population. I mean, it's the geriatric population, but from different areas, like different backgrounds. Even in WIC, we meet people from different background, different culture, different countries. So it's good. I mean, working in WIC for me, it's very good because all these different people I meet, different languages, and then we are forced to learn. It's good to learn a second language. Communicate with different people.
So are you learning a second language?
Yes, I'm learning. My Spanish is actually getting much better.
Oh, muy bien. So those are our clips on diversity. Our next clip is again with Moriah. She has a nice, interesting perspective into more of sports nutrition. And so she, right out of college, got her certification as a personal trainer, and she just talks a little bit about the test and the differences between the DTR and the certified personal trainer credential, just in case anyone's interested in enhancing or expanding their scope of practice with another credential. So let's check out that clip.
So I got my certified personal training certificate through the National Academy of Sports Medicine. And I studied for that, I think, about 3 months.
So taking both of those, I think that's a really cool perspective you had. What would you say the differences are between those two exams for a DTR who's thinking about advancing into sports nutrition and want to have that credential?
So for the personal trainer certificate, I would say it's a lot more self-study unless you're also getting an undergrad in something exercise science related. But if you're not, you're going to have to teach yourself all of that information from the textbook you can order. In terms of the DTR exam, you can only sit for that exam if you've gone through an undergrad in nutrition and dietetics. So a lot of that information you're already familiar with, which is why I feel like I didn't have to study as long for the DTR exam as I did for the personal training exam.
Okay, so having a dietitian now on our show, I had to ask how being a DTR helped her in her dietetic internship as she's been through the whole process. And this is our next clip. If you can't guess, it's with Brigitte, and she describes how her experience as a DTR helped her in her dietetic internship.
Yeah, definitely. It was the best decision I could have made before doing the dietetic internship, honestly. I didn't have any nutrition experience when I graduated with my bachelor's degree because I worked full-time and went to school full-time. So that left little time to have a part-time job as a diet aide, or I had some time at Penn State Extension over the summer as an assistant, but that was it. So working as this position, the DTR, while I was saving up money and considering my options for the internship, really gave me the experience that I needed in especially the community education and nutrition setting, that I felt more at ease interviewing during the dietetic internship interviews. But even as I worked during the internship, a lot of the education that we did for patients in both clinical, inpatient and outpatient were topics that I was very comfortable because I had addressed them with patients or clients in my private practice.
All right, we are at our last clip. One of the most encouraging conversations or snippets of conversations I had with our guest this month, and that was with Kelly. So Kelly, please inspire us.
I definitely think like the biggest advice I have is if you're on the fence of getting, your DTR credential, not only because, you want to eventually become a dietitian, but, it just shows a lot of jobs that like you're willing to put in the work. It's great experience. If you do want to go into an internship, you are going to have so much knowledge to share with the other interns that you have. And then also, it just, like I said before, like it looks great on resumes. And I really think it will help like boost confidence and like, I have this credential. I know what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, I definitely think it's really helpful for that. But also, like, I don't know if we really talked about it, but there were no jobs in Pennsylvania, so I had to move to North Carolina. I didn't know anybody, and it was really scary, but it was worth it. It was really worth it for me. So take that leap and really just do it and put your whole heart into it.
Your interest, or any of these clips or people you saw spiked your interest, make sure to check out their whole interview. You can find them in the comments below on YouTube or our website, NDTRspotlight.com. And as promised, a little sneak peek for November. You don't want to miss November. So hit that subscribe button, sign up for emails. I will start sending them out to your email box, I promise. There's a lot of things going on. And lastly, if you have any questions, tips, thoughts, feedback, or you want to be on this NDTR Spotlight, also check out our website. There is a spot where you can nominate yourself, nominate another NDTR, and also a spot where you can just contact me and like ask questions, or ask for like if there's an interview that you want spotlighted, or if you have a question that I'm not asking in my interviews, let me know and I'll make sure to ask these amazing people that I'm interviewing every week. And I think that is it. Thanks so much for watching. Hit that bell, sign up for emails, follow on Instagram. I will see you next Thursday.